My name is Francis John Richards. I was born on the 23rd of July, 1916. She was the first girl that I went out with. And I do love her as much as the day I married her.
She swept me off my feet, as they say. We've had some tough and hard times together. We're better off now than we were years ago, because, I mean, the children are all grown up. But we were pretty poor in the beginning, especially when he came out of the army.
There was a draft coming to England. That was in November 1939. I went to Lahore in India, the furthest outpost of the British Empire.
Frank was billeted alongside his best friend, Corporal Billy Williams. Billy showed Frank a photograph of his younger sister, Elsie.
The picture was there. Well, I had a look at it every day, and I asked him every day for it. And he wouldn't give it to us until he was going away back to England. There's the photograph. You've asked for it long enough, and it never left me since. So I shouted back, well, tell her to write to me, which she did.
Well, the letters came from India. I was very surprised. My brother asked him to, for me to write to him, which I did. He kept on writing, and I wrote back to him. It was a bit romantic in the beginning. I asked him to send a photograph of himself, and he sent me one, and he was standing on the steps outside the barracks. He was scowling. I thought, my gosh, is this the one that I'm writing to? So I thought, well, just out of good manners, really, as I'd promised, I thought I'd write back to him. But I never really thought that I'd ever marry him.
When I came home in 1940, I went up to the Rhondda for the weekend. She was living in Treaford. And the bus came in at it, and as soon as she got on the step of the bus, I said, there she is.
I heard Frank saying, that's her, and they got off. We didn't kiss, because I was very wary to kiss strangers that I'd never seen before.
I did hold her hand and all the way to Treaford, and I kept squeezing it.
I thought he was a bit saucy, mind, because he kept on squeezing my hand. I thought, a bit forward, you meet somebody and straight away they're squeezing your hand.
And it was a very happy moment for me.
It was a very, very strange type of feeling to meet somebody that you'd been writing to for a long time. And that was the first meeting. But it did seem as if, by writing, that you'd known him a long time. So we seemed to really click it off, as they say, straight away.
I said, well, why wait? I said, let's get married as soon as you can.
He turned round and he said, will you marry me? Just like that, out of the blue.
You don't know when I'll be sent abroad. Because, as I said, he was fighting before Dunkirk.
And I said, yes. I said, but I'd like to get married in June, because I always thought, well, June brides. So he said, well, there is a talk that I might go abroad again. He said, I'd like to get married to you, he said, before we go abroad.
Frank and Elsie got hitched just 3 months later.
Didn't really know who he was, but it's surprising when you write to one another back and forth, you get such a relationship that you begin to know one another's likes and dislikes.
The war had brought Frank and Elsie together very quickly. It would also bring tragedy, with the loss of Frank's father, who was especially keen to see their first child.
The Blitz had come on Swansea. My father and brother had been killed, and my mother's house had been bombed on the I got into town and I couldn't believe my eyes. The state of the place, and people were walking around in a daze. We was lost. The first thing was we had to find the bodies.
We knew Swansea was being bombed because all the sky was red. And I went down to Swansea, and there was Frank, and he was really in a bad way. Me and his father had got quite close all the time that Frank was in the army, and he always hoped that when the baby was born, I would fetch her down to Swansea. He never saw her.
We went down, looked at a few more mortuaries that they had there, and I went straight to a body, and I said, "Yours, Dad."
By the end of the war, Frank and Elsie felt that if they could survive the Blitz, their love could survive anything.
After anything?
No, I don't think so. Because I'm after your wallet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not much.
I love him just as much as I did the day that when I stepped off that bus.
If I had my time all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. I'm still as much in love with my wife now as I was when I was in Rawalpindi, when I first seen that picture.